everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new here, and welcome to another Sims 4 speed build video. So today I'm going to be building in the world of Brindleton Bay, which is the world that came with the expansion pack Cats and Dogs. And I am building 2 colonial inspired cottages that I had seen a picture of, and well, I had a picture saved on my Pinterest of these 2 cottages for a really long time. I'm going to put a picture on screen so you can see what I was looking at. So this is what I was looking at on Pinterest, and that was kind of my inspiration. Well, I drew a whole lot of inspiration from that. I was trying to basically, well, not 100% copy it, but I did want to, you know, that's what I wanted to build. I am recording this video at 5:40 in the evening on Friday, and if you've been around for a little bit, you know that I usually try to upload on Friday afternoon, and that did not work today. It's been a day. This is the 3rd time today that I am recording this voiceover, because the first time I recorded, I have some presets in my recording software where, you know, I've started, you know, doing presets for, so the software that I'm using to record my screen when I build is OBS, and I have a preset to record just the screen for the build, and then I have a preset for a voiceover, and then I have recently also added a preset for a let's play, because all of those audio settings are a little bit different depending on where you're sitting and what you want your voiceovers or your voice to sound like, and all that kind of fun stuff that I know nothing about, but thankfully I have ChatGPT to help me with that. Yeah, that's what I use ChatGPT for. There is so much more that you can do with it, but listen, I'm not a tech geek. I don't even know what I'm doing. I know how to build, and then the whole like technology part, and I've mentioned this before, it's driving me insane, but literally I've been talking into my mic for no good reason. I didn't notice it on the screen either, but I've been talking to myself for an hour, and it was all for nothing because it recorded nothing because my mic was not attached to my preset for some reason. Like, I don't know why that happened, but it wasn't. And so after I realized that, I was like, great, this is fantastic. Oh, well, I still have a little bit of time before I have to pick up my kids. So I'm just gonna record it again. And well, then my dad called, and which is fine, and which I should know because, you know, my family is there. They all are in Germany, and my dad calls every Friday just to check in and see how we're doing. And he recently retired, so he was telling me, you know, about how his retirement, well, I mean, I asked him how his retirement was going, and he was telling me all about what he's doing now, and I enjoy those Friday morning calls very much. It was just that, you know, us being on the phone for about 30 minutes was fantastic, and I loved it, but I had already messed up this whole hour, and I've wasted that whole hour. I also been to my favorite coffee place after I dropped off my kids at school, which I sometimes do. After I drop them off, I go and grab a coffee and chat with friends there. And I was considering not doing that this morning, and then I thought, no, you know what? I haven't been in a little while, and I really want to go, and I'm just not going to stay very long, and I'm going to go home at 8, and I did. Well, and then I messed up my whole voiceover, and so then I was on the phone with my dad, and then I recorded it all again. I recorded my whole voiceover again, and it was really hard because I was trying to remember, you know, what did I say in the previous recording that I didn't record, and what have I said in the past hour? Am I repeating myself? Am I telling you all the same things again? Or am I missing something? Do I think I said it in this voiceover, but I actually haven't said it? But anyways, I took that whole voiceover, and then my husband called, and I got distracted, and then I was like, you know, oh, I don't know what I was saying. I just continued on with my voiceover, and I made it through it, and and then I about had a meltdown, because then I realized that I never it start recording. Are you crying with me? Because I mean, I almost cried. I was literally sitting here being like, how can you be so dumb that you did not hit record? Are you kidding me? I was so mad. I was so mad. And then by that time, it was already almost time to pick up my kids. But also my husband had a work appointment, it wasn't, so he had somebody come to the house to have, you know, a conversation with in his office, which is fine. But like, I had all of my dishes still in the sink from last night because last night I was so tired. It's just been a week. I was so tired that I didn't clean up the kitchen before I went to bed, and that's usually something that I always do. And today just taught me again why I usually do that. Yesterday, after I was done cooking and we had dinner and our children were in bed, I told my husband, I was like, I'm so tired. I'm just gonna go to bed. I don't even care. I just need to get some sleep. And so I went to bed and I paid for it today. Oh, did I pay for it? I mean, yes, granted, I wouldn't have to do that just because somebody comes over, but it bothers me, you know? It bothers me. Like clutter, mess, things that are undone bother me, and there is always this I still have to do that feeling in the back of my mind, and it does not, I do not appreciate it. Okay, so this is me just telling you about how my day has gone, and it was not well. And I also haven't, at the point of me recording my previous 2 voiceovers that I didn't record, I had also not play tested the build yet, which at this point I have, and I'm going to talk a whole lot about that in a little bit because that was a struggle. And so anyways, I picked up my kids from school, which, you know, it takes a while because you have to sit in car line, and, you know, you're just sitting there and you're like, I have stuff to do and I can't do anything. I'm just sitting here. Well, then I came home and my kids, you know, wanted to do a craft, and my office is also our craft room. So I thought, you know what? This way we can be together, but I can still get something done. The kids are doing a craft and I'm just going to sit at my desk and I'm at least going to play test while they're here. Because I obviously, like, while they're in the room, I can't do a voiceover. So I figured I might as well play test the build. And yeah, the nursery. Okay, so there's going to be a nursery. I had this whole plan, like in my previous 2 voiceovers, I had this whole plan of how I'm going to tell you the story of my, you know, the storyline for the Sims that I came up with for these 2 builds. There's a nursery, and the nursery I was struggling with. And while I was trying to play test and struggle with dealing with a lot of Sims, my sweet, precious daughter was coloring a picture, and she forgot to put the little mat down between our page and our wooden table, and she decided to use a purple Sharpie to color in her snowflake, and it looked so beautiful, but it all went into the table. And it is a beautiful table. It used to be in our our breakfast nook table, and it's like a custom made table. And yes, I'm dumb for using a pretty table as a crafts table. I do understand that. However, that table, when I found it, I was so thrilled. And I found it on Facebook Marketplace, and it was like a custom made table that lady had ordered. And when we downsized from our previous house to the house that we're in now, I was really excited because we don't have like a formal dining room like we used to have, and a kitchen nook, like a breakfast nook. We only have like a dining, like it's an open floor plan, so it's like a kitchen, dining, and living all together, and our big dining table is in that room. And I didn't want to get rid of this beautiful round table that I had, and I was like, oh, you know what? I can use it in our craft room. But we do have like silicone mats that they're supposed to put down when they're doing crafts, and they're children, and children forget. And I wasn't paying attention because I was just trying to get my build at least, you know, play tested and stuff. And so I wasn't paying attention. And then I was like, okay, there's no way I'm gonna get this out, right? Like, I'm not getting Sharpie out of a wooden surface. I mean, it's sealed-ish. But I scrubbed at it for about 40 minutes with a magical eraser, and let me tell you, they're magical. It came out. The table is extremely smooth in that place, in that spot now. But there's no more purple Sharpie in it. My children are extremely sweet, and they're very, very, you know, I always let them know, look, I'm not mad at you, I'm just having a really hard day today, and that that's okay, and that our moods are different, and, you know, we're trying to raise them being aware of their mood and of their emotions, and letting them know that adults, parents, also have emotions, and sometimes we're just not having a good day. And the pressure that I'm putting on myself for this YouTube channel is my own fault. Like, I wouldn't have to put that pressure on me, but when I do something, I tend to do it, or I expect a lot from me. And with this YouTube channel, I wanted a certain way, and I wanted to have, you know, a certain professionalism about it, and I hold myself to a very high standard. And so I was just being frustrated today, and then that happened, and I was like, you know, this is just going great. And then my husband's appointment ran long. He was like, you know, I'll take the kids, and then I'll take them to have dinner, and you can just do your voiceover. And then his appointment ran long, which is fine. It's just, it added, all of that just added. He did take them to pick up pizza now, but I can hear that they're back. So if you can hear them in the background, I'm very sorry, but this is how it is. And I am not perfect, and I am not single, and I'm not living by myself, and there's other people. So, you know, this is that kind of a YouTube channel where life just happens, and I'm just venting to you about my day while I'm not explaining anything about the build. So let me get into the build, and let me show you what I've been working on. First of all, let me put a picture up on screen. These are, let me look it up. Ronald Jefferson is the one in the middle. And then there's Michelle, his wife, and then that is Roger, their son. And Roger grew up in this house. So this is this is my storyline for this. They live in this house. I'm thinking that the Jeffersons have lived in this house for a really long time. I think they bought it right after they got married. What's his name again? Ronald. Ronald is a professor. He teaches at the local university. Also, I haven't mentioned this. These houses are inspired by houses that are in Alexandria, Virginia, which is actually, I've been there and I've seen houses like that before, and I love Washington, as in DC, not the state. I've never been to Washington State, but Washington DC I've visited with my husband about 9 years ago, and I really, really enjoyed being there. I love the city. There's so much history, and there's just so much to do. I mean, it's one of my favorite cities that I've ever visited. And the town, or the part, and I don't know if is Alexandria just like a district, or if it's like a part of DC, or if it's its own town. I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to say something here that is not correct, but yeah, the picture of the houses that I have put on screen earlier, those are actually in Alexandria, in Old Town, which we had visited with my father-in-law 9 years ago, whatever, when we were there. I don't remember. But yeah, and the reason I built it in Brindleton Bay was because of that brick sidewalk out front. That was just very much like, this world is one of my favorite worlds to build in, because it is so versatile for if you have inspiration from, you know, real life locations. And since I was building cottages, I also felt like it fit very well here, because even if it's not DC or Alexandria, I felt like it would still fit very well in this world. And on this lot is the oh my goodness, I can't read it, it's so small on my screen. Ragdoll Refurb is the lot that I built it on, which is like right by the harbor, and it's a very tiny lot, but I felt like it was perfect. But anyways, let me get back to Roger, Michelle, and Ronald. So Ronald and Michelle bought this house, this historic house, when they first got married. And I think since then it's obviously been refurbished and renovated a little bit. And they have raised 2 children here, Ronald Ronald is the dad. They've raised 2 children here, Roger and Eliana. And Eliana is actually married and has a daughter, and they live right next door in the little brick cottage, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I'm thinking that the brick cottage used to belong to Michelle's mother, and that was the reason why Michelle and her husband Ronald bought this house, was to be close to her mother, and her mother helped raise the kids because she was right next door. And then when the mom passed away, the grandmother, I guess, when she passed away and the brick cottage next door became available, their daughter Eliana and her husband, Hudson, her husband Hudson and herself bought the little cottage, or inherited it, I guess, because it belonged to her grandmother. So they inherited the little brick cottage and they lived there with their daughter Lexi. So that is kind of the story that I was going for. And so I tried to add some pieces of furniture and some pieces of art, and like a chair that I'm about to add, that I'm thinking is maybe from the grandma's cottage next door. And I'm thinking that she was the mother of Michelle. I don't know if I've mentioned this or if this was in the other voiceovers that I've done. But yeah, she was Michelle's mother. And so that little red chair, that used to be hers, and that little footstool used to be hers. And after she had passed, they brought that stuff over here, and like some pillows. And, every once in a while you'll see some clutter items or something that might look a little bit old for Michelle and Ronald, but they are just from her mom's cottage and they brought it over here. And I'm thinking that Ronald and Michelle are probably in their very early 60s, I would say. Yeah, early to maybe mid 60s, but they're not like older. They're not like in their 70s or 80s or something. So some of the items I felt like they looked a bit old, but the reason for that is because they are from Michelle's mother. But yeah, what have I not told you in this voiceover yet? I have not told you. Maybe I have. So Ronald is a professor. I think I've mentioned this. Ronald is a professor and he works at the local university. And Michelle is an author. Michelle had probably, I think she had maybe 1 or 2 bestsellers. I don't know exactly what kind of genre she writes for, but maybe some historic novels is maybe what she is very interested in, because of her living in a very historic neighborhood and a historic town. And so maybe she likes writing historic novels. But so the style that I was trying to go for was this very, not very, but a little bit towards the dark academia. Not exactly, it's more like a moody cottage, dark academia kind of, what is it called? Not merge. I don't remember. I don't know. I can't talk anymore anyways. But I think that's what I was going for. And the shelves in the living room, they're still like the bookshelves, they're still white, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to make them in a dark wooden tone rather than it being white, because it was just too bright for me. I needed it to be more moody. And when I came in here into the dining room, I was, that big window to me just screamed window bench, window seating. And then as I was adding pillows and stuff, hold on, let me move this. Sorry, it's a reindeer. My children have made me a bunch of things and they placed everything on my desk, and my desk is actually very massive and it's completely cluttered full of stuff. Can't wait to clean it up. But yeah, so I was adding these window seats and all the cushions and all that kind of stuff. And then I felt like, for what I envisioned them to be, him a professor and her an author, this felt a little bit too informal. if that makes sense. It just didn't, I wanted it to feel more formal is really the way, more antique-y, more sophisticated, I guess. And so I decided to pull out the benches and make it a regular, like very formal looking dining room, and not so much, well, still cottagey, but more filled with antiques and a bit more adult. I think sophisticated is the better word for that. But I was also trying to find like a nice side table or a china cabinet, and the ones that I had from the CC packs that I have downloaded, that just didn't work. So I ended up creating like a it's not like a butler's pantry, but it's more like built-in cabinets rather than a china cabinet. However, now that I just said that, I wanted to mention I really don't remember what I have mentioned in this voiceover recording, and what I have not mentioned, and what I talked about earlier when I was talking to exactly nothing. When I was talking to nobody, because I wasn't actually recording it. But what I wanted to say about the CC, I will add, I hope it works. Look, I've never done this before, so I really don't know. But I did extract like a list of CC that I have used for this build, and it gave me a link to like a document. So I will post that link down below in the description so that you can see all of the CC that I have used. I plan in the future for future CC builds to make it a little bit of a cleaner list. I don't know if you watch Jessica Pie, she is like super fancy, and I don't think I don't think that I want to do exactly what she is doing, because I'm assuming it's a whole lot of work, or she is so good at it that it's not that much work for her, but she creates like these super detailed Google Doc links. I'm not there yet. I don't know exactly how to do that yet. I will look more into the whole what the best way for me to share a CC creator list with you is. But at this point, I'm just going to put the link down below. If you see something that you really want to know where that came from, what creator and what pack, please leave me a comment. I will do my best to answer all the questions you might have about that. I would also love to point out what I have been using, but I really honestly, I can't tell, because I have, just between last week's video and today, I have downloaded all of this CC. And I know one of you had asked if I could maybe do like a tutorial on how I download CC. I don't know that I'm gonna do a whole video on that. But what I can tell you is that all of the CC that I have in my game right now is actually from CurseForge, which is a relatively safe platform, I would say, to download things from, as far as malware goes and stuff like that. If you download from other websites, I really honestly don't know how any of it works, but I know that there's always that little bit of a risk if you're downloading something that you might get a virus on your computer or whatever. But CurseForge, as far as I know, is relatively safe, and it is very easy. So if you don't know anything about downloading custom content, I would highly suggest you start off with that. There's a bazillion things on CurseForge. There are so many creators on there, and it's very easy. So when you download the app, I think it's like you download the app of CurseForge, and then you link your game, like The Sims, to your account, which is really straightforward. I really always have to look up everything that I'm doing on my computer. Like, I know nothing, and I always have to look it up and ask either Google or ChatGPT, what do I do? What's my next step? Like, I don't know anything, but it is pretty straightforward, and you can just link your game, and then you start shopping and you start downloading things, and it's really as easy as clicking an orange button that says install, and it will automatically put it in your game, in the right folder, in your mods folder in the game, and then you just hit start and you play the game, and you have your custom content in there. It's really easy. If you do have any more questions, I'm happy to try and answer as much as I can, but that's pretty much what I did here. and I don't think that it makes sense for me to create a whole video, but I'm happy to answer any questions if I can. But yeah, what else did I want to talk to you about? Yeah, in the video you're gonna see that I forgot again to add a trash bin and mailboxes. I have since added them. I have also excuse me, I've also playtested this whole build. I playtested with 6 Sims and everything seemed to be working great except for the nursery, which we'll talk about when I get there. The nursery changed quite a bit, but everything else was very functional. It functioned as intended, and yeah, they can cook in both kitchens. They can use all the sinks, the bathtubs work, the shower works, like all of that. All of the chairs work. They actually had a very cool dinner here, because when I came in to play test it, it was actually the next day was Winterfest, and so they had a really nice dinner, and I actually took a screenshot, so I'm going to put that screenshot in real quick. Really, they're one of them was wearing their outdoor clothes for cold weather wear. The other one was wearing their PJs. I don't care. I was just trying to play test it and get through it. But yes, they had a nice dinner around the table, all of them, minus the baby, but or the infant. It's not an object baby, it's an infant. But yeah, everything works just very well, and I was shocked. But you know, so I'm not familiar with the names of the CC that I actually have in my game. I can tell you that I have a bunch of stuff from Hey Harry and Felix Andre. I don't know how you pronounce it. I hope I don't butcher that, but they both do a lot of collaborations with their House of Harlocks, and everything that they have created that is available on CurseForge is in my game, and I probably have used it at some point or another. And I use a lot of Pierre Sim and Max20 and Joyce, I think, or Joycey. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but I have a bunch of stuff from them. And goodness, I mean, there's a Busy Bee, Cluttercat is one of the ones that I use a lot, but I'm just not familiar enough yet with all of the items to be able to tell you and point out, oh, this is from that kit. So I'm sorry, but yeah, a lot of the things that I use in this kitchen. So in this kitchen, it is a whole lot more cluttered than I would usually do it. But the items in CC kits are just so adorable. Like that little slice of butter over there that I just put on the table, and then the little butter on the table here, or on the counter, and then that open jar with, I don't know what that is, flour or sugar or something like that, and the little egg tray. I just found that so darn cute, and I had to use it. So I don't know, it kind of looks like, you know, a moment in this family's day that Michelle came into the kitchen, or maybe her daughter came over while Michelle was watching the baby. Her daughter decided, what's her name? Eliana decided to come and bake a cake or some cookies or something like that. But yeah, I thought it was really nice. And I just, you know, this kitchen is very cluttered if you compare it to the kitchen of the daughter. So these houses are very opposite, you know. They're a harsh contrast to each other, I would say. This house, and this was not intentional, this house is very light and bright on the outside and very moody and darker on the inside. And then the little brick cottage is very dark and overgrown and looks very old, and is very bright and modern on the inside, which that was intentional for the brick house, but it wasn't intentional for me to have that other house be very bright and then dark on the inside. It was just kind of what happened, and I have to say I did enjoy it. This was built on a 20 by 20 lot, by the way, which means that there is not a lot of yard space, but there is some planters out here on this one, which those work, and a little table, and then I think that's it. I did not add a grill or anything. There's really truly not super many activities on this lot, just because I was You know, usually when I build with just the in-game items, I'm very focused on giving your Sims a lot to do. And truly with this one, I just wanted it to look good. I just wanted to use all of the CC that I just downloaded, and I just wanted it to look a certain way, and that's what I was going for. So we're now on the second floor of the white cottage, so the parents' house, and this is the only bathroom. There is a toilet on the bottom floor. I don't know. I think that footage will come up later. Yeah, I think at the end of this build, it'll come up. I did not put screenshots of that little toilet room because it's a 1x2. So the only thing in there is a toilet and a mirror. It works. It's a functioning room. There's not a sink in there. So they go into the kitchen to wash hands, which is fine to me. This is an old cottage. And so it being quirky made sense to me. And I just figured I had that little 2x1 rectangle left, and I figured, you know, might as well make it a toilet because there is not that many. All in all, on this lot, there's 3 toilets, and there's 4 adult Sims living here, and then an infant, so you might need an extra toilet if you can have it. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could make this a residential rental, and just play in one of the houses. Like, you don't have to play with the story that I was thinking about when I was building it. Like, they don't need to know each other. You can pick one of the cottages to live in, and then the other one is just rented to somebody else. You could either own both of these. I have not played it as such, so I would not be able to tell you what the rent would be for either one of these. I just, I like the storyline, and that way, me playing it like that, I was able to play test both of them at the same time, and I didn't have to, separate the rental plate, or what? Oh goodness, what is it called? I didn't have to separate into multiple units and like select all of the rooms and all that kind of just. I didn't have to do that. What did I just say? Excuse me. I don't know. My brain is so broken right now. But yeah, so I didn't play it as that, but I did play test everything. And I did try to remember, and I don't remember in every single room, but I felt like this house needed radiators. And the other one does too, but since they were cottages, I felt like they're old and maybe they still run on radiators, and so that's what I was going for. And then over here in this bedroom, you might have noticed that we started off with there being furniture in that room already. And the reason for that was that when I made the floor plan for this, I had forgotten about there being a 3rd floor and me actually wanting to use that 3rd floor. So there was no staircase. And originally I was like, this room is so much too big if you consider the time frame that this house was probably built at. And then I decided, you know what, there used to be 3 rooms up here plus the bathroom, and sometime, whenever they probably have been here for about, I don't know, 25 years, and sometime within that 25 years they decided to tear down a wall and then add an actual staircase to the attic and make the attic another room. I'm assuming at the beginning there was only like a ladder, pull down ladder. So that's why this room is very big, and that made sense to me because everything needs to be realistic for me, and that was how that made sense. And I don't know if you just noticed what I did with those floor lights. I never know what they're, standing lights, whatever they're called, I don't know. So here's a tip. If you ever want to place something on a surface but you don't like where an item automatically snaps to, then there's a trick that you can do, that you place all of the items that you want on, like let's say this desk. You're gonna excuse me, you're gonna see it again in a second. I place all the items that I want on the desk, and then I take the objects from the desk and I hold down Alt and pull them off of the desk. That way they're still gonna be in the exact height that you need them to be. But now if you remove the desk, you then can place the items back into that corner where the desk would be, and then put the desk back. and you'll see it, and maybe it'll make more sense when you see it. But then you have to remember exactly, oh, where do I have to free place this plant or whatever, and then where will it be on the desk? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's really hard to explain. But to put like a marker down, I use the lights to show me where I want the items to be. Here we go. So I'm placing them all on there so I get the right height, and then I find a blanket. But all the right height, I'm finding all the clutter pieces I want to use, and then they're snapping to a certain spot, and I don't want them there. So now I'm coming in with the light, and I'm marking where the book should go, where this is where the books should go, and then I'm pulling them with Alt, holding Alt, and then I place the desk back into its spot, and ta-da, you have the items where you want them. So maybe that was helpful. I hope I explained that somewhat logical and so that it made sense and that you could follow. I'm not very good at explaining things, so I hope you understand, or you already knew that. Maybe then sorry, but I thought I'd mention it because sometimes I do use that trick with the lamps, and I got that from Jessica Pie, by the way. She's one of those creators that I've been watching her videos for years, and I've learned so much from her. So my build style, if you ever go on my gallery and you go down all the way to like my first builds that I uploaded, you're gonna see a massive difference. And a big reason for that is that I started watching speed builds and how other people do it, and I learned a lot. But yeah, this is the only other bedroom in this house, and I'm thinking that used to be Eliana's and Roger's bedroom, that they used to share a bedroom here, and the parents kept it with the beds in it for, you know, future grandchildren or as a guest room. And I left some hints of this used to be a kid's room. I put a few little things there so that it kind of, you can kind of see, oh, that's what it used to be. That reminds me that in my previous voiceover, I wanted to mention something. So the son, Roger, I split him from the household and he doesn't live here. But I wanted to ask if you guys wanted to come up with like a storyline for him. Is he married? What does he do for a living? Where should he live? Should we build him a house next? What would you like to see for him? Do you have any ideas, like anything at all that you can think of for Roger? If you want to give me some suggestions in the comments, I would love that. And then we'll go and build something for him. Also, I'm going to be completely honest. After building with CC, I really don't want to go back to building with the in-game items. And that happens to me every single time that, you know, before I had this computer that I have and the setup that I have now, I had just a laptop, and I did at some point download CC because I just enjoy it so much. Building with CC, it's just so much more realistic, and it just feels different, and it feels more like interior design rather than a video game. And that's really what I love. But I'm having a hard time wanting to go back, and I will. I absolutely will, because I want to have it all accessible for the majority of people who might watch my content. If you want to go and download my stuff, I know that there are some of you that play on console and just can't have any custom content or mods in your game, and I also know that some people just really don't want to download any mods, and I respect that and I understand that. But I do enjoy building with custom content. So I know that in the beginning, or last week, I guess, I was asking if you sometimes want to see custom content, but I wanted to see and ask if you guys are up for it being like a 50-50. Like, one week we do custom content and the other week we do regular in-game vanilla, you know? So let me know what you think about that. And also something that I wanted to mention is that there is, my limited expertise here, but I think there's two types of custom content. There's Maxis Match, which is what I'm using. And then there's Alpha, and Alpha is Alpha custom content looks a whole lot more like Inzoi. So it is more this extreme realism, which I really actually don't love. It's beautiful stuff and the creators are amazing, and they're doing a fantastic job, but it's not my favorite. I like the Maxis Match because first of all, it still kind of goes with the game, and if you're planning on playing the game, it fits better. It suits the game better because it's meant to match Maxis and what they have created. But yeah, so if you are downloading your first custom content, pay attention to it. I'm not honestly very sure how you can see. I mean, you can kind of tell when you see the pictures of the items on the, you know, when you're downloading the custom content, but you'll notice it the latest when you put it in your game and you're like, ooh, that's a very thin table leg. The textures and the colors are just very different than Maxis Match custom content. That's all I was trying to say. But yeah, we're on the 3rd floor, so we're almost done with the first house, and this is like a library home office situation. It's not actually a home office. I am thinking that maybe at some point the mom or the dad or both of them had a desk up here potentially, but now it's just it's a little cozy hangout room with all of their literature and all of their collections, all of the things that they have. I mean, they're very academic. So, I mean, she is an author and he is a professor. So they're going to be very academic and they're going to love reading. That's how I see them. And so that's the reason they don't have a TV either. I don't see them doing that. I don't see them sitting down and watching TV. I think that if they want to do like a movie night or something, they go over to their daughters and their son-in-laws and watch a movie with them. And if you would like to add like a laptop, you can absolutely do that. I mean, the Sims can put the laptop in their inventory and they can carry it around. And then that way you don't really need to have like a full-on computer set up on your desk. So, and there is a desk available. So yeah, that would be an option, or they can borrow their son-in-law's computer as well. But yeah, so this up here is really just, I had considered not putting anything up here, but then I thought, I know that there's not a lot of gameplay that you can do up here, but you could, you could add a chessboard if you wanted to, or a game table. Absolutely. Instead of, I'm about to put like a sofa in there, and instead of doing that in that right corner, that corner that we're looking at now, that's where I'm going to put a sofa. And instead of that, you could absolutely put like a little chess table or a game table. That would make a lot of sense, I guess. I should have done that, but like I said, I wasn't really focused on adding a lot of activities. I just wanted it to look good. Oh, and also, while I was building this, I'm always watching something. Like I always have a show on in the background when I'm building, and usually it's stuff like Gilmore Girls or Scandal, or I like watching Elementary, and just something that I've seen a lot of times so that I don't actually have to look at the screen. I can just zone out and listen. And yeah, this is what I was talking about. I'm gonna darken up the living room as well. But this time I actually was watching a show, or listening to a show more, on HBO, and it's called Diaries of an Old Home. And if you are interested and you enjoy interior design and architecture, you should go ahead and check that show out. It's so beautiful. It's basically just a TV crew visiting people who have bought historic homes and have renovated and refurbished them and are making those houses function for a modern family. And yeah, it's just, it actually gave me a bunch of inspiration and ideas on what to do. And if you're thinking of, sometimes, at least I feel like I should, a living room should be set up in a certain way. Like there should be a couch here and a couch here and a chair there, and then there should be the TV. And you're gonna see it, especially in the other cottage next door, that I started to understand more about, there is no norm. There is no rule book for design. Design is an art. And you can design a home however you want. And that's something really that stuck out to me when I was watching that show, that people there is no right or wrong way to do it. You have to make your home work for your family and for the way that your family moves through a house and for the activities that you do. And sometimes you have to move and work with walls that are there, because sometimes you can't move a wall. And you know, there was that one family and they had a house built fully out of concrete, and I might talk about that in a second. But these are Eliana. She is the daughter of Ronald and Michelle, and then her husband, what's his name? Hudson. Hudson, and their daughter Lexi. And I just realized that their last name is Rogers, and her brother's name is Roger. So her maiden name is Eliana Jefferson, and her brother is Roger Jefferson, and she married a man named Hudson Rogers. Funny. That was not intentional, and I just now realized that. But moving into their house, so like I said, this used to be her grandmother's cottage, and when her grandmother lived in it, it was not very renovated, it was not very up to date. And when they came in, I'm assuming there was like a bunch of stuff that they just needed to take care of, because it was a little bit not run down. I think her grandmother took great care of it, but they needed, like I just said, they needed to make it work for their family and for modern times and for what they needed to get out of the house. So it's a bit quirky, and it's a bit like the kitchen is a weird L shape, and I'm going to be working around that floor plan a little bit, changing the cast openings a couple of times, but it is very bright and airy. And that was my biggest thing that I wanted. This cottage, I would live there. I mean, really wouldn't work for our family and for our needs, but I would live there. And I definitely would love to play in this cottage, because it is just so, it's so homey. And I'm so in love with it. But you're gonna see that I'm gonna put the fridge here, and I was trying to create like a little butler's pantry situation, like a coffee bar without a coffee maker. There's not a coffee maker in here, sorry, but you can add it. There is some room. I just didn't want to, it didn't feel like putting one there. I think I tried it at some point and then I was like, nah, I don't like the way that it looks. Like I said, I was going for the looks more than anything in this build. But yeah, so I put the fridge over there, and I had like a counter there. And then I started with this wall. And this wall, to me, very quickly became the wall that needed to have the stove on it, because it was centered. Like one cabinet on the right side and one on the left, and then center in the middle, the stove. And I loved that. And then I added the vent hood, and I had those shelves, and I changed things around, and I changed colors and stuff a little bit. And it just came together. And then from that point on, I knew exactly what to do with the rest. And I added this backsplash, and I love the color of that backsplash. It fits so well. And I also tried to add a little bit of that blue in the living room with little details, like a throw pillow, a little blue throw pillow, or there's a little chair. And I tried to bring that blue into the living room to make it feel all like one, while it's still being separate spaces. And also these open windows, I wish I could tell you. I think maple, something with maple potentially. I really truly, I don't know. If you would like to know what pack those windows came from, I'm happy to find out. But I hope that link to the document works with the CC list. It's a bit a messy list. This is just when you can do, or this is how I did it. If I use the Better Build By, you can have it scan the game or the build, and it'll scan and it'll throw out a list with all of the CC that you use, but it'll list actually every single item. And then I was trying to clean up that list in Excel, and I was trying to work with ChatGPT to tell me how to get that list cleaned up and not so overwhelming. And I didn't want it to list every single item. I just wanted it to say, this is the creator and this is the pack that it came from, and then that's the list that I wanted. But it involves like putting in codes and stuff, and it took me forever, and then it still didn't look good. And I don't have the chat plus function, and I'm not about to pay $20 a month so that I can talk more to it. I will talk to my husband and see if he knows how to work on that, or I'll Google it or whatever to make it a nicer, cleaner list for you guys. But at this point, that's where we are. And at this point at night, where it's 6:30, I'm just trying to finish this video and upload it today. That's like my only goal right now. And I hope you forgive me for that. I know I'm trying to usually be very, very professional, but this is about as professional as I can be tonight, and that's all I can give. So at this point in the kitchen, I realized that I don't have a sink. And then I was trying to add like different counters, but I didn't, or a different island to add the sink, but I didn't want that because that island that I had picked, in my mind, it was like a piece from her grandmother that she inherited, and she wanted to preserve that as a little antique in this very modernized, it's not modern as in straight lines, it's a modern cottage, but this is like a little bit, it brings a little bit more of that like history back into the house, and that's why I really wanted to stick with that island. And so I put the sink over here and added a little bit of clutter on the side counter. So this is where you could put a coffee maker if you wanted to. There is a microwave because I felt like, you know, there being an infant and then a toddler, you might need the microwave, but you could also remove the microwave and put a coffee maker in there. But like I think I said it before, there is a kettle over by the parents in the parents' kitchen. So if you're playing like I did with just this whole, like controlling the whole household and both houses at the same time, you could always go over there. What really irritated me when I was playtesting is that the fireplace at the parents' house was on, obviously because it was winter. Well, it's not obvious, but it was on because it was really cold, but I had set the thermostat to warmer, and they kept going over to the fireplace to warm themselves. Like, so Hudson and Eliana kept going over to the parents' house to warm themselves, and then the parents kept coming over here to watch TV, and it was annoying me to no end. So maybe just turn autonomy off for that. I don't know. I know that there's mods for that so that Sims don't do random things like that all the time. Like, find something else to do. You don't need to be sitting in front of that fireplace the whole time. It was really irritating me. But anyways, that pile of books, by the way, is functional. It's like a, you know, like a bookshelf, like the books that we get from the in-game, or the in-game books. And it works like a bookshelf. So that was kind of neat. I'm also gonna replace that chair that I put in the corner with a high chair, because I figured, you know, the infants can sit after they reach like a certain milestone, and you probably know more about that than me. But yeah, they can sit. But I put this fireplace in here, and I didn't even check to see if this is a functioning fireplace. I doubt it. I don't think that it is. I think it is purely decorative. I didn't try it, but it looks to me like it is purely decorative. But maybe it's like a, you know, an electric one that we can pretend that it works. And because I had the fireplace there, and because I had the door where I had it, and I was refusing to move it, I had to work around this floor plan. It's a very square room. I mean, it's almost square. It's still a rectangle, but it's almost square. And so I had to work around that. And it still needed to function for Sims to walk around. So I had decided to shove the dining table over in the corner. And I really liked that. I was like, I never do that. It's always center in the room. But I really like putting it over there. And then I created this little reading nook over here with my favorite ever chair. That chair, I know that chair is from Hey Harry's Coastal Collection. If you're looking for that chair, that's where that came from. That item I know, because that is my favorite chair in the whole wide world. And I don't know if you've ever seen them in real life. They actually exist, and they are expensive. But I'd love to have those chairs. But anyways, yeah. And then I went over on this side, and I was like, okay, this is a screen TV. And not a screen, a frame TV. And then I thought, okay, well, let's make the couches work around the TV. And obviously the TV should be in the middle of the wall. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Who said so? Who said that the TV needs to be in the middle of the wall? Who said the fireplace has to be centered in a room? Why not put it off to the side? Why, like, it can be anywhere. And especially in The Sims, it can be wherever you want. It can be on the outside if that's what you want. So I've changed the cast opening a little bit, and I shimmied everything a little bit around, and I tried different layouts, and then I came up with this. I was like, why don't we create more sections in the room? Like, you can section a room off, and if you use rugs and furniture to block off certain ways, you can make a big room feel it doesn't feel small, and it doesn't feel cluttered. It just feels sorted and organized, like every corner has its purpose. So then I put it here, and I am shocked, but I am able to tell you that the desk is fully functioning, and the door is not in the way, and the couch is not in the way, and they can use everything. And I'm about to I hope you can't hear my husband and my kids screaming in the background. They're watching Polar Express tonight, and I think they're probably about by that scene where the little boy is on, what's his name? He's on the roof of the train, and the train is going up and down. It's this like roller coaster thing, and my husband likes to entertain my kids more by being very into the movies. But anyways, yeah, if you can hear them yelling in the background, I'm so sorry. That's what we're doing. Excuse me. But yeah, so then I had this situation figured out. I was trying to fry and pans, didn't work, was too cluttered, didn't like it. And then I figured, why don't I put chairs here? Because I still wanted just the couch. It just looked a bit empty. And also, well, then you're only staring at the TV. And I like having areas in your house where you can have a conversation, where you can look into somebody's eye and actually sit face to face and have a conversation. And so I figured, why don't I just put chairs in front of that sideboard table thing, chest of drawers, whatever that is. I can put him in front of there. Never do that. I never put chairs in front of furniture, but why not? And then I found these chairs, and I thought maybe this is also something that she had inherited from her grandmother that was originally in the cottage. Maybe she had it reupholstered, or maybe that's the pattern that they came in. And she made use of them, and they are now in her living room. Yeah, that was what I was thinking about. But yeah, I love the room. I love this room. I love this whole house. This house is so adorable to me, and I'm extremely happy with the way that it turned out. And yeah, like I said, it's fully functional. We're gonna go upstairs in a minute, and I'm gonna be starting on the nursery. And I'm gonna be honest, I might actually should I cut it out? I don't know. I might just cut it out and just show you the picture of what the nursery looks like now. No, I won't do that. I'm just gonna leave it in. I'm gonna leave it in, and I'm gonna put a picture on the screen of what it actually looks like now. Or maybe if you're gonna stick around until you can see the screenshots, then I'll just put it in the screenshots. But I do want you to know that the nursery ends up looking a tiny bit different. Like, it's a different crib because I could not make the other crib work for some reason. I mean, it worked, but like I couldn't, I don't know. There was something that was glitchy with it. I don't know. I'm assuming I put something in the wrong place, or something was in the way, but the Sims wouldn't tell me what is in the way. They were just throwing their hands up in the air saying, I can't do it. I don't know why. But yeah, I think this over here is like Eliana's little reading nook. Or maybe her mom. I'm assuming that her mom comes over and helps her, you know, take care of the baby. And one of them likes to sit here. And oh, I think I have a picture of them actually sitting here in the room. Hold on a second. Let me look. I do have a picture. Here you go. This was, I was taking that picture because it was adorable. The mom, or the grandma, is sitting in the chair reading, and then Eliana is holding her daughter, giving her a nap in that other chair. And I thought it was so wholesome, and I figured if I'm already playing something, I might as well take a picture and show you. But I think that's, yeah, I'm figuring out like light fixtures and stuff, which I always try to make. Like, sometimes the CC light fixtures, even the ones for short walls, they come down a bit far. And so a lot of the times I size them down, which is pretty sure what I did with most of the light. Yeah, I sized that down too. Oh, I sized it back up, I guess. If that's even the one that stays. No, it's not. I opted for this one. And I didn't forget a trash can on the inside, but oh, also there's not a trash can by the changing table, which is extremely annoying, and you might want to add into the nursery or at least one upstairs in the bathroom. Like we could add one there, because it is extremely frustrating when they just flick their diapers somewhere and you have to look for them, and they're somehow really hard to find. Like even though they have this like green steam coming off of them, they're really hard to find, or at least they were for me. But yeah, so hallway, nothing special. I do like these. I know that they have a name, like those things that you can build around radiators, and I love them so much. They're extremely common. Like in Germany, we have radiators, right? It's very unusual for someone to have like an AC system where it's like warm air. I have never lived in a house in Germany that didn't have that. I think one of my uncles, aunt and uncles, they have like a system that is more closely related to like an AC, rather than a radiator. But you know, in Germany or in a lot of countries in Europe, if you are cold in the winter, you turn on your radiator and you wait for it to emit the warm air. And if you're hot in the summer, you can open your window and you can pray that it'll cool off, and you can hang wet flat sheets in front of your open window, or put a fan behind it as well, because that's like the only way to cool you down. That's how we did it. And when we visited last year, we visited Germany with our kids for the first time. My oldest daughter was actually born there, and this was her first time back since she was 2 months old. And we went in the summer, and we literally had days where it was sweater weather and it was so cold, and we were there in July. And then other days where it was very hot, which is fine. I don't mind being hot, but I had forgotten about being hot when you're trying to sleep. And my kids were struggling, bless their hearts. They were really struggling. We had like fans in our room, and we opened the windows, and usually, you know, at night it kind of cools off-ish. It does get cold, but the houses, they heat up so much during the day. And to get that coolness in the house was really hard. So I was sleeping like right next to the balcony door with the door open, and then the fan in the door, and then it just blowing the cool-ish air into my face so I could sleep. And you know, for an adult it's a little bit easier because you understand that there's just really nothing else that you can do. But for a 4 and a 7-year-old at the time, that's not even true. Hold on. No, my kids were actually 3 and 6 when we were there. Now they're 5 and 8. But yeah, for kids it's a little bit harder to understand why they're hot and why I can't make it cooler when they're used to being in an AC, you know, with cool air. But anyways, I don't know why I was talking about this. But yeah, this is me trying to furnish the nursery. And like I said, there was some things that I had to change about it. And I'm going to put a picture up on the screen of the nursery the way that it looks now, because it's a little bit different. I had to shift some stuff, and I had to remove some of the furniture. It's just like a little side table, and I think a rocking chair that I had to remove because it was just a bit too squished. But maybe a different arrangement of the furniture would have worked better, but I just couldn't make it work. So here is what it looks like now. And so you see that it's a little bit of a different crib, but other than that, you know, this corner will change a little bit. But yeah, stick around for the screenshots, and then just, you know, look at the screenshots. I also had to move that thing because they could put the infant in there on the playmat, but for some reason they couldn't get her back out. Make sense to me. I don't know. Like, they were fine putting her in, but then getting her out, the chair was in the way. And it really didn't matter where I put it in the room, the chair was somehow always in the way. So I don't know what happened there, but yeah. So I don't know. I've been talking for 3 hours straight today, with all of my attempts of making this voiceover, but we're almost all the way through now, and thank you for sticking around if you're still here and you have listened to my rants and my not functioning mom brain and my just being completely overwhelmed with life sometimes. I don't know. maybe you're there too. If you are, know that you're not the only one. And if you're not there yet, know that being a parent is extremely hard. And you know, when I was younger, I never, like like my mom would always say, it's 8 o'clock. This is when I get off of work. This is when I want you in bed and I want you to leave me alone and I need time to myself. And obviously as a child, you don't really understand that. You're like, okay, but I'm just asking for some water. Like, how can that be so bad? Like, can you just give me some water? Or can I just, you know, all those things that you think you need when you're trying to go to bed as a kid. And now that I'm a mom and it hits 7:30 and my kids are not in bed, I'm like, y'all need to go to sleep now. I love you to death, but I've had it for today. I just need to have some time to myself. And the worst part about that is that then your kids are in bed and you're like, okay, I could catch up on sleep. I can catch up on housework. I could do my video or whatever. Or I could, you know what, there's so many possibilities and there's so many things that you want to do because you want to just do something for yourself. And then you doom scroll on YouTube for hours and you're just like wasting your life away with shorts and all kinds of stuff that you're watching online. And you're like, I could have slept, but I also just wanted some time to myself. I just wanted to watch some videos where nobody's interrupting me, where nobody's yelling, I need you to wipe me. I am hungry. Can I have a snack? None of that. And then you just scroll and you just wasted 3 hours of your life. And somehow it's like, why did I do that? And then on the other side, it's, oh, I had time to myself and I was just able to do that all by myself. And you feel so, I don't know, free. No, being a mom is amazing and it's great and I love it so much. And that's really what I wanted to do when I grew up. I wanted to be a mom and a wife, and I'm very blessed to be able to do that. And all I'm saying is it's hard, especially if you don't have family and it's just you and your partner. It's just all on you, and there's really no break in any of it. So anyways, it's been a long day and it is now almost 7 o'clock and I haven't had dinner and I haven't even eaten lunch or breakfast. You know what I ate? After I attempted my second voiceover and that failed and I was really depressed, I rushed and I let the dog out and then I went to sit in Carline, and what I did was I ate half a bag of chips. So yay, that's what I ate today. And I'm extremely, extremely looking forward to going out there and grabbing myself a slice of pizza. And I really hope there's enough pizza for me left. Pretty sure there is. But we are on the almost second to last room. Thank you for sticking around. If you have watched this whole video, thank you for your support. I do want to say thank you for all of you that leave nice comments on my videos and are so supportive and encouraging and kind with your praise of my builds. It is so special to me. Truly, it is. I'm very, very happy that I get to do this, and I'm very, very happy that I get to share my videos. And I am so grateful for the positive feedback that I'm getting. It means so much to me. And I feel like we're building this little community here, and I'm so happy about it. I don't know. But I did want to say thank you for all the ones who watched my videos from beginning to end. I know that I'm still learning about how to make videos, and I'm learning how to do voiceovers that are, you know, not too boring, but also not too try hard or whatever. And I did have this, like, you know, when I started, or when I was thinking about starting my channel, I was not planning on just only ever talking about what you see on screen. I was planning on just having some honest chats. And if you see the description of my channel, it says grab a coffee, let's have a cozy chat. So it was never intended to just be about gaming. It was intended to be a little nook where you can escape your life from, what? Is that how you say that? No. It was supposed to be just a place where you can relax and where you can just turn off your brain. And it was honestly, it was supposed to be like, I call The Sims and building my brain break, because sometimes life is just overwhelming and it's just too much. And we all need something. And I'm hoping that my videos and me talking about struggles and life and how everything, like reality, is just hard sometimes. And maybe it gives you some sort of, I don't know, support, and you feel not so alone in thoughts of being overwhelmed, I guess is what I'm saying. Man, that got deep. I didn't mean for it to be so deep. I hope that if you're watching it, you're getting whatever you need out of my videos, whether that be just getting inspiration or learning more about building, or just enjoying what I ramble on about, or if it's actually like a mental release for you. Either way, I don't care about the reason that you're here. I'm just grateful that you are, and I'm very, very grateful for it. But anyways, now we're almost done with the bedroom. I mean, you know, there's not much that I can tell you. I can tell you that the closet is like, it's from the set Basic, and I think it's by Hey Harry. I'm not sure if it was a collab with Felix Andre. I don't know how to say the name, but but it is by either one of them or both. And it's the Basic collection, and it's basically a collection that is completely based on IKEA furniture, which I love, because being from Germany, we pretty much lived with IKEA furniture. That's all I ever had. Well, that's not true. That's not all I ever had. But when I had my first own apartment, 99% of my furniture was from IKEA, including my kitchen. So yeah, I guess maybe at some point, I'll do maybe like a student's apartment or student housing or something like that with, like a college student is what I'm trying to say, with just IKEA furniture, like using all of their basic sets. That would be fun. But excuse me. Other than that, this is the bathroom. It's very short and sweet. It has a shower and bathtub combo, so you can give the infant a bath here and they can also take a shower. The other house only has like a bath, I think. And then I used this, oh, I wish I could tell you what this is from, but I used this vanity because, again, I wanted to bring in a little bit of like a refurbished, thrifted kind of feeling, so that this is maybe something that they bought at a flea market and they had refurbished it, or maybe it was something that was already in the build and it was from her grandmother and they kept it. But I wanted it to not be just these regular cabinets. I wanted there to be some sort of character to it. And even the bathroom, like bathrooms are so not special because theoretically it's always the same stuff, but I enjoy decorating bathrooms actually. I don't know, I like making a bathroom a cozy place. Like our bathroom in real life, it's a rather large bathroom, but we have a massive rug in our bathroom, and then like a big rug that looks like a oriental rug, and then I have like a fake sheep fur situation also on the floor, and then on top of that is like a standing mirror. So it's a cozy room. Like even when I get up in the morning and I go and get ready in the bathroom, it's a cozy room, and that's important to me. So yeah, I actually do enjoy decorating bathrooms, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and in the hallway, there really is not much. There's just, I think like a mirror and a table and just some decorations, because I feel like a hallway deserves to be cozy and feel like a part of the home as well. And so that's what I did in the hallway. And after that, I think all I'm going to be doing is going around the outside and adjusting a little bit. Like I'm going to change some of the fencing and just on the sides, because I felt like there was, like on the side of the brick cottage on this one, there was this very narrow little grass area, and all I kept thinking was somebody has to cut the grass there, and that's not really realistic. And in a lot of these cottages, the sidewalk is right next to the window. Like I have an uncle, they live in a town called Elmshorn, in the north of Germany, and their living room window is literally like by the sidewalk, so people walk like right past their sidewalk. And I did put like a little sandbox in the backyard, which is basically just a frame, and then you do the terrain paint with the sand. But yeah, I'm just gonna go around and finish up the outside, and that's pretty much it from me. So if you did like this video, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It really helps my channel grow, and I would love to see it grow even further. And I thank you so much for watching and sticking around till the end. I hope you're gonna watch the screenshots. If you want to download this from the gallery, my gallery ID is VinnasNook, VinnasNook, and all of that information is always in the description down below. If you have any questions or want to know anything about the build or the custom content, please don't hesitate, leave me a comment. Leave me a comment if you have ideas for the brother Roger, where he should live, or what's up with him. And yeah, that's it. So I hope you have a wonderful night, and I'll see you next time in the Nook. Bye guys.